what's going on, everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to MLCD Rocks, Rockin' Metal Thrive. We're into another... Shoot, we're already in another September episode? Jeez. This year is flying by. Plus, with live music back, I mean, I've honestly lost all track of time. Before we get going on this podcast, I want to thank our sponsor, Phoenix Fitness, once again. Yeah, like I said, concerts, they're back. I'm going to so many. And you know me, I'm a mosh pit connoisseur. I will always go to mosh pits. Hell, even when we do like Sad Boy Saturday here in Milwaukee and they start playing music that's a little bit heavier and people start throwing starting mosh pits, I'm jumping into those. But I want to make sure that I'm jumping into every single one possible and I'm not tapping out halfway through a show because I'm tired, I'm exhausted, my fitness just isn't there, my strength isn't there. So I'm always gym lifting, working out, doing some things with cardio, whatnot, make sure that I am at the top of my game. But in order to make sure I'm at the top of my game, I recover different ways. I have different supplements I take for pre-workout, proteins, different multivitamins, different BCAA recovery drinks, and that's where Phoenix Fitness comes in because they have all that you could want. Different proteins, AM, PM, post-workout, BCAA compounds to help with your recovery. Different pre-workouts, both stim and stim-free. I do stim-free because me and caffeine, woo! I mean, this is me without caffeine. I'm already jacked to the tits! Different creatines, different like plant-based proteins as well, and of course your multivitamins. Anything you might need to achieve your fitness goals, check out at Phoenix Fitness. The link is in the description below to go and check that out as well. And if you order anything Phoenix Fitness, please use the code MSOTD and check out and get 15% off your entire order. So thank you, Phoenix Fitness. Now to our feature presentation, MVK Music Group. They have been nothing but absolutely fantastic to us. So I want to thank Brian, Jesse, Attila, all the people from MVK Music Group because they constantly send me all these great bands to talk to, and today we do that once again. So Matt and Jordan from the band Post Profit are going to be on the show today. I really hope you guys enjoy this episode because we go deep in their song Better Off with its very deep meaning of trying to listen to understand, not listen to respond, and just to win a conversation, win a point of view. We talk about some crazy like mosh pit injuries. We talk about different beer injuries that we had, not beer injuries, beer things that we've had, mostly breaking stuff because, well, we've all worked in like grocery stores and, you know, I was a liquor merchandiser at one point. So yeah, we talk about some of these crazy stories as well. And a podcast first for me where my power went out during a thunderstorm during this podcast. So I want you guys to bear with me on that one. That one's taken out completely. There might be a little bit of like technical issues on post-profit side. Most of it, you're probably not going to even be able to like really tell the difference on just because the flow of the conversation works. The two or three times when it really kind of like backs out a little bit, I try and ask them to repeat as well, but it isn't really anything bad. You're still going to get the whole entire gist of the conversation, plus the core meat of the conversation is all there. So enough with my yammering. Are you guys ready? Let's go! Yeah! Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast, you guys know that we have a great relationship with MVK Music Group where they keep sending us so many great bands to interview, to talk to help you guys get in the know with. And the exact same thing happened for this episode. So without further ado, please welcome Matt and Jordan from the band Post Profit. So guys, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
How you doing, man? Thank you for having us.
Man, thanks for being on. How's life out in Texas during this day and age?
Hot. Yes. Extremely hot, humid. It's definitely one of the wettest summers we've had in a while. So you're instantly sweaty as soon as you step outside.
Yeah, no kidding.
Nonetheless, it's home.
It is home.
So you say one of the wettest summers that you guys have had? Has it just been raining a shit ton over there?
Man, it's been raining like crazy. It's like we may get a week where it doesn't. And
then we'll get like 2 weeks where it does. And then it's humid right afterwards. So it's just like, oh, you just can't breathe at all. I got you. Like, it's crazy. But nonetheless.
And most of us work in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know the feeling when it comes to it's like all of a sudden here, like because I'm literally on the other end of the United States in terms of north and south, where I'm up here in Wisconsin. It's just like, hey, we finally get a day of like, the high might be like 75, 76. Like, yeah, this is what summer's supposed to be like. All of a sudden, the next 2 days, yeah, now we're back up to 90s and humid. I'm just like, I don't think living up north was, for this, but
it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Thank the good Lord for this thing called air conditioning. That's
right.
A beautiful thing.
Refrigerated air
It is a beautiful thing.
I'll say it's an incredible thing, guys. But before we really jump into this whole entire podcast, before we get into the meat potatoes of it, I always like to ask the guests that have on the podcast 3 very specific questions before we get started. And the reason I ask is to kind of like, get to know you guys a little bit more, and also just open up the conversation through and through, because this always ends up working in my favor. So the 3 questions, first 2, very, very, very simple. If you guys don't get the questions right, something's wrong. But the third one's going to put you on the spot a little bit in the most fun way, well, at least for me.
Oh, goodness. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
So question number 1 is, what is your name? Question number 2 is, when it comes to post-profit, what do you do in the band? And the third question is, I want to know a little fun, wacky, interesting fact about yourself that will hopefully make me laugh my ass off so hard that I will fall flat on my table, on my desk right here, crash my head through it, get myself a 9th concussion, and enjoy every second of it. Now, to give you guys a couple examples of the craziest things, I'll say I got a couple examples to give you guys some more time. There's one I've heard where it came down to the band was from Florida. This might have actually been an MVK band as well. I can't remember. But they took their lead singer, chloroformed him, dragged him to a beach, buried him halfway in the sand, and put a bunch of ketchup around him to make it look like his legs got bitten off by a shark when he woke up.
Oh my God.
Let's see. There's another one where band, you're on the road. You got to go to the bathroom. There's no bathroom in sight. So you just go in a nice large cup. All of a sudden, you throw the cup out the window, only for the cup to fly back in through the back window because it's open, and give the drummer a literal golden shower while in the tour van.
Oh, God.
Yeah, or there was another one where this band called Sleepwaker. Oh, shoot, there goes the video.
Oh, wait, we're good.
All right.
There we go.
This band called Sleepwaker, their bass told me about this time in a different band where I think it was their drummer, ate some bad food and literally shit himself and had to crap in the middle of a median on a highway, only for me to bring that band on literally a couple weeks later to hear that exact same story from the guy it happened from. So I've heard a bunch of weird ones. I always like to use those kind of as the example, also get you guys laughing just to hear some of the wacky shit I've heard. But I'll let you guys take it away.
All right, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll go. I'm Jordan. I play bass guitar and sing background vocals in the band. And I guess an interesting thing about me is every time we take a group photo and there's multiple cameras, I look at the left camera because my eyes are not exactly straight. So I try to knock out 2 cameras with one look. There you go.
Well, shoot. I'm going to have to go through every single press photo you have and just take a look. Can you repeat that real quick?
Okay, I'm Matt Jackson.
Wait, Matt. Hold up. Jordan, can you repeat that real quick? Because you kind of cut out right there in that last one.
Okay. Just repeat the whole thing?
No, just I think the last thing you said. Just.
I don't even remember.
I don't know. I know it was funny.
Knock out two cameras with one look. Because I just focus on the left one.
It's the same. I have to keep going back and looking at your different press photos. I'm going to see you just looking off to the side at the completely wrong camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. It's my turn?
Yeah,
it's my turn. Okay. My name is Matt Jackson. I play guitar and I sing lead vocals. And one interesting fact about me is that I talk really fast, sometimes on stage. And one time I ended up saying as also on stage. And everybody pretty much lost it because I was like, oh, yeah. This next song is going to be on whatever as also as well or whatever the fuck, and everybody just lost it. So usually it's tough for me. I have to either say it slow or I'm screwed.
What was that? Was that Warehouse?
That was Warehouse. Yeah, that was Warehouse Live. That was crazy.
Well, you did that at Warehouse Live that's in Houston, right?
Yeah.
The amount of times I get notifications for shows at Warehouse Live from so many of these bands that I know, it's oh yeah, I'd love to go down and see some of those shows. If it wasn't 1,500 miles away from me, that'd be a great place to go see a show, but the travel cost might be a little too much.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Too damn high.
Yeah, it's almost too high for us.
So Dallas, 2 hour us. Oh man.
Yeah, because where are you guys from in Texas?
Longview,
Longview,
Texas.
Northeast.
Say, because I have no idea exactly where that is. I know a good amount of stuff where it is in Texas, but Longview, no idea.
You know where Shreveport is in Louisiana?
Yeah.
We're about
an hour
from Shreveport.
About 2 hours from Dallas.
Alrighty, not bad. I mean, it's just like when it comes to Texas, the state is just so massive in terms of size, where it's just, I feel like it's kind of like if you're in like a smaller area, more remote area, especially as a band, trying to really, go to different shows, play as many different shows as possible, you're going to have to really budget a lot for travel in order to make that happen. Like, if you guys are 2 hours away from Dallas, that's a lot of travel time right there. I don't know how far you guys are away exactly from Houston, but then you also have different other areas you can go as well within Texas. It's just going to make it a big mess.
Yeah, we're about 3.5 hours from Houston.
Yeah,
about 3.5 hours from Houston. So I mean,
give or take.
Definitely some travel expenses for sure.
But yeah, definitely. But I mean, with the whole entire pandemic with 2020, of course, live music was shut down. Hopefully you guys are able to like save some money. So now that with live music being back, full force, festivals happening, you guys going out and traveling, playing shows in like Orlando with the rest of the MVK bands, that you guys have enough money saved up so you guys can do some significant traveling in terms of going to different places, maybe throughout the whole entire southeastern part of the United States to go play some shows.
Yeah, for sure. We try to make do as well as we can with our time and resources, and just make the best of it.
Yeah. Whenever it initially hit, we were like, what do we do? And then we just started recording, getting all the material we need ready, and then once shows started coming back, we just started really playing a lot more shows. So it's just been our main thing right now, just playing a lot of shows.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good thing, though, just because live shows are finally back. It's finally a big thing once again, to the point where, I mean, I'll put it this way. I look at my calendar in terms of like the live shows I'm supposed to go to. Like July, I was able to go to Rockfest in Wisconsin. I was able to do a 4-day rock music festival. Went to a couple of smaller shows. August is just like, okay, now I'm going to just go to some bigger ones, traveling around. September, October come around, it's like I am not stopping going to see live shows, whether it's some bigger shows or some more local shows around here in Milwaukee. It's just like, what? It seems like at some points, once every other day I'm going to a concert. And honestly, it feels great.
Yeah, it does feel great. I'm glad it's back. I freaked out whenever it initially left. I was like, oh shit.
We all did.
Like we literally were in a state where we were like kind of freaking out and depressed for like a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were like, all right, we actually gotta get shit done. So it's a perfect time. So let's go ahead and work on that. But there's no other feeling about like actually going to another show. Like
after the long wait, you're like,
yeah. After knowing if we are ever going to play another show again, like it was one of those things that, a lot of things run through your mind when something happens like that.
And it's not that we ever really stopped for a long period of time, but it was long enough. It was like, when is it going to revert back to normal where we can just do this all the time?
Yeah.
And it took a lot of patience, and we were productive in that time. I would say we were productive for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
lots of anxiety involved.
Well, I mean, during that time, it was like you're going to have to be productive due to the fact that live shows were not happening. And I totally understand, especially at the start of it, when all of a sudden it was like, okay, live music is completely gone. And that's something that you really hold near and dear to your heart. Same thing with me as well, where all of a sudden I had tickets for concerts left and right, probably about 10, 15 shows that I had tickets for as of March in 2020. And all of a sudden it was like rescheduled, postponed, canceled. I'm just... It was just not fun looking at that, because the point in time I'm just thinking, when is this going to stop to the point where I can actually go and see a live show? However, I kind of had a similar mindset with you guys when it came to the podcast, where it's like, okay, we can't go and see live shows. We can't go and do all this stuff. What's one thing that we can do in order to make sure that when live music comes back, or during this time when everything's shut down, what can we do in order to just keep improving? And when it comes to working on your guys' end, working on new music, recording new music, working on a bunch of different ideas as well in terms of really making Post-Profit hit, it makes a lot of sense in order to make that happen.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that was just one of those things that we were trying to figure out what's the best thing to do for us in that period of time. We had to kind of think on our feet, and I mean, it was just all about adapting at that time. I mean, that was kind of a hard thing to do, but we had no other choice. So, you know, we had to regardless. And I mean, we made it through, but
I mean, if something's thrown at you like that, it's all impromptu at that point. You don't know, you didn't expect it, so you just kind of have to accept it and keep moving forward.
pretty much.
Yeah, it's with the mindset of, instead of looking at what could have been or what should have been, you're taking a look at what is, or at this point in time, what was at the current moment, and seeing how you can use it to best use your time for yourself, for the band, and just go forward from there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's all you can do.
So
One of
like
those type of things.
So during that time, how much did you guys end up recording? Because I know you guys came out with a couple of songs since the pandemic started. So did you guys end up recording like a good amount of stuff, so you have like a whole entire album's worth, whole entire EP's worth, or just a couple of scatterbrain singles here and there in terms of just different styles you were working on, maybe trying to put some different influences in your music? What was really going on during that writing process time and recording process time of the pandemic of 2020?
Yeah, I think we were just recording as much as we could. I mean,
Writing and recording, definitely got an album's worth.
Yeah,
and
honestly, still recording.
So,
I mean, we just keep it going. We like to write, so anytime an idea comes to us, we just try to get it out as much as we can. And so that's just like a specific time it happens. It just happens. So we're basically just constantly writing.
But that's a good thing, though, because you're able to probably take some of the stuff that was going on in 2020, especially with the fact that that was really like that might be the only time in our lives where something like that has happened. So you're potentially able to write about things that you were going through at that time, and really be able to kind of create this sort of historical, let's just say, record of what was going on during 2020 with some of your music, because you're able to create different, create different instrumental compositions, different vocal compositions, put them together to really kind of match up with certain emotions that were going on at that time. So when people look back and study the pandemic 20, 30 years down the line, they can take a look at the music that came out during or just right after the pandemic that's really related towards that, to really get a feel of what we went through as a society, what we went through as individuals during this period of time.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say that, you mentioned that, because a couple of our songs initially had come from a different point of view, or had a different meaning, and the pandemic kind of shifted a couple of those songs' meaning. Is like, holy crap, this is like really relatable right now, and it's like, you know, it was like turning a page on a whole new song, even though it was the same song.
It was crazy, man. And honestly, like it's crazy how we wrote that about like a situation. Like, this was before COVID was even thought of, you know, and now we look at it and it's like, oh shit, like this actually goes on with what's going on today. Like, It's crazy how that happened. Like, we didn't have no idea, like we didn't expect it or anything like that. We didn't like go into the future and then come back or anything like that. It just happened. So I think it all of it happened naturally, and it was pretty cool to see how that developed.
I mean, that's always going to be a cool thing just to see, because you're able to create something that had a separate meaning before the pandemic, but also something that has a completely different yet similar meaning that happened during the pandemic, due to the fact that our whole entire world was changed topsy-turvy. However, the core idea behind these songs still remained the same.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
I was just saying, like, especially I think the latest single you guys had put out with Better Off, I think that one, especially when you deep dive into the meaning of that song, could really kind of take a look at both before the pandemic, after the pandemic, still have that same core base of a sound, or I should say meaning of a song. However, the more specifics of it and the more emotional connection to it could be different if you're thinking of a 2019 mindset versus a 2020 mindset and beyond.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I say, because that one just
I guess that like right when we wrote that when COVID hit, like that wasn't a song that we had planned or anything like that. We just literally just wrote it on the spot at that point in time. And so it's cool how that one developed after we saw what was going on.
To me, personally, it's one of our deeper songs, but because of our mood and how we were feeling at that point in time when we wrote it, and it was a mixture of feelings of being unsure and scared, fearful, I guess, at the same time.
A little bit of anger in there,
and incorporated anger, and just trying to
there's a
take
lot
the
of
situation
emotions
for what it
captured
is.
in that song, like that we just let it all out. Let it hang loose and hold back. Now I'm very, very proud of how that song came out. And so it came out really well.
I would say, because jumping into that song, it was like, because just hearing what you guys were talking about with the meaning of the song, specifically Jordan, when it kind of came to just the uneasiness, the unsureness of what was going on. When I listened to it and I was trying to get take some really take a deep dive look into the lyrics, I kind of took a little bit of a different approach to the song in terms of something that does relate also to what has been happening during the pandemic as well, what has happened through 2020, even a little bit, even beforehand as well, and of course still going on today, because when I dove into the song, dove into the lyrics, that's always the thing I do first, and just see how the instrumentals kind of play off to kind of bring that out as well. I thought the meaning of the song was kind of taking a look at the state of the world today with all the different problems and how many of these problems are extended and amplified by different hard-headedness, and to focus on being like the winner instead of just trying to understand and try to work together. Because it begs the question if we would be better off with more understanding this world from not only us, but the other person that we're talking to. Just kind of, we have different mindsets, different opinions. Or would it be something where it's just like, this is the way it is, and people are just going to be so hard-headed that whatever they think is whatever they're going to think, and it's kind of like it's either a winner or loser mentality. It's not an understanding mentality anymore.
Right. Yeah. It was more of a song of just like kind of questioning everything. I mean, I feel like every song that we've put out so far has definitely kept that idea of questioning everything, as far as, take a look into what's really going on, not just what you see on TV or not just what you hear say or whatever, like actually see what's going on and assess from that, as opposed to just going what's been told lately. And it's just something that's a question that we want everybody to ask. And with everything going on, and honestly still going on in a lot of areas, it's just, if people would actually take a step back and actually just listen to each other just for a second, but there's definitely hard-headedness around. And I mean, we all have hard heads. I mean, we're people, we're humans. So, but it's just something just to be like, just take a minute and think about it for a second, and I'm hoping people, whenever they listen to our music, at least get that concept of it to where they can actually like see things in a new perspective.
Well, I think with this song, especially with Better Off, you're definitely going to be able to, even just as a super duper, just like surface level meaning that doesn't really dive, if you're looking just like at the surface, not diving deeper into it, I think you're definitely going to get that when you especially take a look at the lyrics, take a look at the mood of the song, take a look at how everything flows, because it does have this kind of feel of opening up and just understanding the person that's in front of you, instead of really focusing in on the hard-headedness and the fact that you have to be right, because you very well might be right. I don't know. If it's an opinion thing, you might be right. I just don't know. The fact of the matter is, if someone has a different opinion than you can kind of also listen to them and see maybe where they're coming from, how the experiences in life have shaped that opinion as well, and potentially learn something about that in terms of, oh, maybe they actually, might be right on this aspect, or maybe they were right all along, and you were just kind of not necessarily paying attention due to the fact that you just hadn't had that kind of headspace yet. It's just something that begs the question of, instead of just being focused on always winning and like dominating in terms of being right all the time, take a listen and learn more, because as we listen and learn more, we figure out new things. We figure out these different ideas about life and anything else, to the point where we're not always focused on what CNN or MSNBC or Fox News is saying.
Yeah.
And I feel like the media, and I heard this from an interview, I think, with Denzel Washington. The media focuses on being first rather than telling the truth. So it doesn't matter what they hear, where they got their source of information, whatever. They just want to be the first to get it out there.
And whether it's true or not is
left up to the whole, congregation, whoever's listening, to believe or not,
Yeah, and a lot of it is just like, especially with, you got multiple media stations, news stations, and that whole idea of being first or getting the story out, or potentially telling the truth of what's really going on. When you have all that going together between all those people, like I'm not in the politics really, but I see kind of like how everybody's just scattering around and nobody really knows what's really going on. And so, it's one of those things where it's like, find out for yourself, kind of do your own research and really take a step back to listen to other people and hear their sides of what they think about a situation, because everybody's different and they experience different things. And so they might have had a completely different experience than you had. And it just comes down to that, it all comes down to just listening.
Yeah, because it could be something also. I mean, bring it back to the music industry a little bit when it comes to working with different promoters, everyone working with different venues, working with different bands. When all of a sudden you hear certain things where, oh, this band is really bad to work with, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, why are they bad to work with? Because they just are. But that doesn't really tell me anything. And maybe it was like this one-off, just someone had a bad day kind of thing, and that was like the one thing that someone turned sour on. Or like another thing that kind of can bring it up as a good one, the whole entire thing that's going on with Bad Wolves and the Tommy Vex exit. It's just everything that's going on there. It's like, you don't know. You see what's going on with Bad Wolves. You see what Tommy's saying. You've seen all this other stuff going around everywhere. And I was taking a look at different news outlets that are talking about it in terms of like Loudwire, Kerrang, Alt Press, Metal Sucks, Metal Injection, all that kind of stuff. It's like everyone is trying to break the story first, but everyone has a different opinion on it, steering the conversation a different way. And it's like, well, can we actually just talk about this and listen instead of picking sides? And all of a sudden, there's a lot of people that are on the, Bad Wolves is always right, or Tommy's always right. It's like, no. Like, what's actually going on here? Can we actually figure out what's going on here in terms of what actually happened, instead of just listening? Because there's going to be one side of the story, there's going to be another side of the story, this media's going to have all their sides of the story, and then there's going to be the truth, and we have to figure out what the truth exactly is. So let's not like focus in on just because some media outlet said something to take it at full value, due to the fact that they could be putting it out there just to be first and to put their own spin on it so it can fit whatever narrative they're trying to push at that moment.
Right. Yeah. And I think another thing is just like, everybody is so concerned about like winning it or dominating the conversation, to the point where it's like, oh, well, there's not going to be really a winner out of this. Like, you're not going to change somebody's opinion because you either talk down to them or say that you're wrong or anything like that, because they're still going to believe what they believe at the end of the day. And I think we just kind of forgot that, in a sense, just as people, we always, you feel like you have to be right instead of just having a conversation and seeing somebody else's side of it. I feel like if we took that approach, we would be, no pun intended, better off. But I feel like we would be in a better position to at least mend a lot of what's the word I'm looking for?
The hysteria.
Yeah, it would mend a lot of the hysteria that's going on right now.
It would mend the hysteria and mend a lot of the division that's going on as well, because using politics as a little bit of an example on this one, I've seen a lot of people unfriend people, not want to associate with people just because they have a different political view than they do. Mm-hmm. And when I take a look at me and my best friend, when it comes to a lot of different things on political views, him and I differ on a good amount of things. But when we talk about it, we're not trying to discuss it with each other to focus on who's right and who's going to win the conversation. It's, no, I want to discuss with you so that you can understand where my mindset is, where I'm coming from, and then I can understand where your mindset is, you're coming from. And if someone's going to change their mind, it's going to be them changing their mind on their own, not being forced to do it, so that, I get into these more, more thorough, more like heavily based conversations, but we're still friends in the end. We're not like going to delete each other or like stop being friends with each other because we have a different point of view on something. And same thing when I do the podcast as well. I've had people that have different opinions than me on the podcast as well. And I love to hear what they have to say. And then I will include what I think as well, just because, we're talking about this, but it's somewhere, I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you have to say, because maybe you guys have a perspective that I honestly don't have as musicians, especially when it comes to something more in the music realm. You guys have perspective that I absolutely don't have.
I don't know what happened. It just fell off.
Hey man, shit happens. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, right. We had that happen like 3 times on a previous interview in the year, and it was honestly really kind of funny looking back at it. But yeah.
But yeah, especially, but then like listening to Better Off is the song as well, especially just kind of like the way it starts out with that intro, because it does have this little bit of a rougher background with the drumming and the guitar distortion, really to get us started through it. Not gonna lie, the style of the intro begs to be kind of like get a little more out of us, kind of deep dive into our minds, and the slower pace that is added to it makes a deeper contemplation feel. So it kind of already puts us in that headspace of we're gonna be thinking about something here. We're going to end up having to feel something here. We just don't know exactly what it is, but it properly puts the listener of this song into a good headspace in order to, at least at the surface level, realize that there's a lot of division that's going on. And just by listening to understand people would mend a lot of the hysteria, a lot of the division that's going on. It puts you in a good headspace to start out with right from the intro.
Heck yeah, man. And I think the cool thing about it also is that we really weren't planning on it, but whenever we're writing parts, every part, if you hear the song, it has a different piece of it. Like nothing is really the same throughout the whole song. There's a different bass part, there's a different guitar part, vocals are doing something over it or whatever. But I think it's really cool how that kind of transpired into what you were saying, because honestly, like even right now, that's a cool, different look that I haven't seen on or even thought of on that song.
We don't get a lot of critique or talk feedback on the music part of it, like where that originated or stemmed from. And I feel like a lot of the time it's already in our emotions before we put it on a fretboard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you hear what you hear, and it can be interpreted that way by other people. And that's the goal, honestly. If it puts you in that headspace before the lyrics even start, then we that's a track. That's in my book, which is it's awesome and inspiring. I want to keep doing that.
Yeah, it just absolutely kind of starts you out right then and there. And whenever I look at any track that I have from a band on the podcast, I'm going to deep dive into it in that certain way, just because I know how much time, I know how much effort you guys put into these songs. I know that you're really bearing all your emotions, all these different things that you have going on in your hearts and souls out onto these songs. So that when it comes to really trying to critique, what I think about them, I always have that in mind. And that's always why I try and figure out the meaning of the song first, because if I figure out that meaning, then I can see why different things happen, why different sounds are brought in here. And especially like taking a look at the intro of this song, why that has that certain way, because it properly, while it's, it doesn't take a long amount of time to really do to achieve this, it puts you in that proper headspace of deeper contemplation and thought so that you understand what's going on and you understand where the song is going to take you, so that if there's specific things you guys put in this that relate to your lives, that makes total sense. I that's what music is. It's you guys expressing your inner thoughts, your inner ambitions, your inner feelings. But what it's also going to let us do is take this core meaning, take this core theme, take this core emotion, and really feel it, but then also use our experiences in life, our past, to really connect with the song on a deeper level, where our connection is going to be different than yours, but the emotion of that connection is still going to be the same.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's cool how it does that. Honestly, like that's still amazing after how many songs we wrote, and it just comes out that way, or somebody sees it that way, and it's like, oh, we didn't even think of it this way. So it's really cool how that happens.
It really isn't, like, even as you go further into the song, because you get to you get that verse, you get that little pre-chorus as well, where, I mean, instrumentally, they were kind of the same, in my opinion, when I listened to them, because the guitar plays, it's like, in my opinion, it's kind of like this softer, more grunge style feel. The drums had more of this simplistic line in the background, but the bass had this rougher feel in its backing on the guitars. And I really like this part from the bass guitar as well, because it doesn't really ruin the thoughtful tone of the guitar as well, but it provides a heavier feel of the message of the song just through the instrumentals, just having that bass be a little bit more prevalent as you go forward through the chorus or through the verse into the pre-chorus. And then when you get to the chorus, it really keeps this song more connected in that realm to really keep you in the headspace of this is going to be a heavier kind of track in terms of the meaning, and when you're really going to listen, when you dive deep in the mindset, it kind of guides that heaviness of the emotion.
Yeah, for sure.
And not gonna lie, that's not really something
I'll take it.
I was about to say, come on, Jordan. Like, I'm giving you, like, I mean, I'm talking about your work, and you're just like, yeah, okay.
I'm one of those. I tend to not. I don't.
It's one of those things.
I'm well reserved.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, you know, we don't really know how to take compliments as well sometimes. Like we get, or at least I do sometimes. I don't know. It's one of those things that we're like, you know, hearing it, it's like, wow, thank you so much. But sometimes you don't know.
Like up here the whole time. We're like, yeah, I did that.
Hey, thank you so much.
Don't
and then out here,
don't
you're just like,
too hard.
And it's just like, okay. It's one of those things. I mean, we've gotten better with it.
Understandable. And as time goes on and, you know, you guys release more music and you hear more positive critiques of those music songs and whatever it might be as well, you're going to end up, you know, potentially it's like, hey, you know, you're going to end up getting kind of used to always like a certain response that you're going to have to those types of comments, but it's going to be this certain type of genuine response from you guys. Well, it's not going to be somewhere it's like, oh, someone said something nice about your song. Oh, thank you. Like you're actually going to be able to connect with it on the exact same way that you connect with all the other ones in terms of the emotion, just like any other song, like connecting to a song, but you're gonna be able to connect with that person that gave you that compliment and then potentially be able to talk to them a little bit more, get a little bit more of a full-fledged conversation and really enjoy what's going on, because a lot of people, when they connect with music, they have that deep emotional connection to it. I mean, hell, as listeners of music, we have the exact same thing. We listen to music we love. We have this deep emotional connection to it. When we talk with other people about it, what we liked about certain parts, all of a sudden, they might bring up a certain part of the song that they liked, and then they're going to give you the reason behind it, and it could be for a completely different reason than you ever intended it to be. But if someone connected this powerfully with a certain part of the song, I mean, you're going to end up saying like, oh, thank you, but then you're going to potentially get into a deeper conversation with them about the song, and next thing you know, not only do you have a fan for life, but you got a friend right there.
Yeah, for sure. That's the cool thing about it. Make a lot of new friends just by listening to music.
Oh yeah, I can't tell you the amount of friends.
All my friends have been based off of music, pretty much. I have all my friends that, you know, I've shown music to, that show me music, you know, and it's just it's a big way of bringing people together. It's a universal language, and it really has just proven itself over time that it's more universal to where it doesn't matter what you believe or whatever the fuck, you know, you just listen to the music and you connect right there. And so we just hope that we can do the same thing and bring everybody together with our music.
And I think you definitely have the capacity to do something like that as well. I mean, I'll bring up an example of just how universal music is. So this was at the end of July. I went to this, here in Milwaukee, there's sometimes they have this thing called Sad Boy Saturday, where it's just some guy who's a DJ and he'll just play a bunch of like 2000s alternative emo rock music, all that kind of stuff all night. Kind of like emo night. And
that's my shit. Yeah, that's my shit.
I gotta tell you, like I went there and it was just like for the first like 30 minutes, like the group I was with, like they were kind of just like, you know, they're just kind of vibing the songs. I'm just like, well, this isn't the kind of energy I was necessarily kind of hoping for, because when I go to shows, like I'm connecting with people like crazy, always talking to people. All of a sudden something heavier gets started, a mosh pit gets going, and I'm just like jumping in, they're going absolutely crazy. Yeah. Next thing you know, all of a sudden they start playing Downfall of Us All by A Day to Remember, and I see these people start opening up a pin. I'm just like, it's my turn now, motherfuckers. And I just went in there, and all of a sudden it was like the group I was with, like they were kind of having fun. All of a sudden I jump into this mosh pit. They see what's going on. This other girl that we were with, her brand new boyfriend was there, and he just comes in, completely shoves me out of nowhere. I fall into the people are just standing on the side. I'm like, who the fuck did that? I see it's him. I'm like, oh, oh, it's on. And it's just a whole just mess of just a bunch of people going crazy. But of course, at the end of the song, like, I'm happy as all hell. Everyone's happy as all hell. People are falling down the pit. We're stopping it. We're picking everyone back up. Like, we got the pit etiquette going, but it was just something where all of a sudden everyone was connecting from all different walks of life, from all different places, all different beliefs. And we were just all having a great time due to the fact that we were just at a bar listening to the music we loved back like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I got kicked in the rib cage one time during a pit.
Last time I moshed, I brought a whole backpack and was swinging that.
I brought a table one time, and it was our merch table. It was closer to the end of the show. All the band were packing up their stuff and everything. Band plays an encore, and there's a pit going, and I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do, so here we go. And I'm just got a table just putting over my head and shit, and running, going through the pit. I got kicked in the rib cage one time, and everybody was freaking out for a second. Because if the dude just winded, oh dude, it was awful. Like the dude came around and did like a spin kick. It was during burials.
You're gonna get so hard you can't cry.
Yeah, it was during burials at So What Festival back in 2019. The pit was completely just like, it was from one side of the stage to the other side of the stage, the full stage. And right before the breakdown hit, right before then, and I was like, oh yeah. it was one of those type of things. I don't know. I've taken some beatings in the pit, but nevertheless, it was very, very fun. So,
I gotta point out your Wisconsin dialect kind of disappeared when you were like, my turn.
My turn now, motherfuckers. Hey, when I get into those mosh pits and all of a sudden it's just like something happens and it's just like my brain just turns on and it's just like now I'm into this full on focus of we're gonna go absolutely crazy, but of course it's a pit, gotta have the pit etiquette going. We're gonna have a kick-ass time. It's gonna be awesome. Because like I've taken some brutal shots as well, just like you did. Just like you did, Matt, just because. And this was 2019. I was seeing after the burial was opening for Motionless in White, and at the end of the set for After Burial, I get knocked down, getting picked back up. Dude trips, head-to-head contact right here. Pretty much like almost my whole entire right under the eyebrow, in between my eyebrow and my eye, opens up completely, and I'm bleeding all over the place. And the guy's picking me up saying like, I'm sorry. And I look at him like with my hand like, dude, get me the fuck out of here. He thought I was pissed. I just didn't want to bleed over anybody. Because I'm like, I'm gonna be bleeding over people in the pit. That's a bad thing. Like, get me the fuck out of here, because
it's a very bad thing.
I just wanted to like not bleed over everybody and all of a sudden have to like stop the pit. And like I'm in the bathroom like trying to like, he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. Are you mad? I'm like, no, dude, I'm not mad. But you said get me the fuck out of here. Yeah, so I don't bleed over everybody.
I don't bleed to death.
I ended up, because I didn't have any paper towel, they only had toilet paper, so I ended up stopping the bleed with a bunch of toilet paper. And this girl that was at the show, she ripped off a piece of this old flannel shirt she was wearing. I tied all this toilet paper around my eye, so I looked like a legitimate pirate. Walked back to the pit for Motionless in White, and everyone was absolutely asked me to get back in there. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. Not because I was afraid to, not because I was hurt. It was because the cut had stopped bleeding. I didn't want it to open back up again and then bleed over everybody else. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to see the show. Should I have gotten stitches? Yes. I know that now. I should have gotten stitches, but I wasn't going to miss Motionless in White. I wasn't going to do that. Why would I?
I feel that, man. I wouldn't either. That's just one of those type of things you just can't miss. Sometimes you just gotta
trying to fix our situation.
Yeah, had a little trying to make it not fall and repeat what we did earlier in the year. There we go.
Hey, if it happens, it happens. Like I said, I've had someone's phone blow up in their hand beforehand during a podcast. So that's
I think you were out.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Said it was like the conditions were hot. Apparently at the time,
AC
or something. And just
shot the podcast right at the end of June of 2020, and it was like 90 degrees, humid in New York, and that's where the guy was from. And his phone literally blew up in his hand right after we did the whole goodbye scene, that kind of stuff. So it was ridiculous.
Oh man.
I felt a little bad, and I didn't feel bad at the same time. I felt bad because the guy's phone blew up in his hand, but I didn't feel bad because I'm like, okay, at least it happened after I was done recording.
Yeah. At least it wasn't in the middle. That would have been That would have been a hell of an episode.
Just all of a sudden talking, all of a sudden you're seeing like pieces fly everywhere, frozen screen. It's like, what's going? Did that happen?
Shrapnel and shit. Yeah.
But like
it do be like that sometimes.
Oh yeah, but jumping back in it better off because I kind of want to talk about the chorus specifically because after that kind of feel with the pre-chorus and the verse as well, you get to the chorus where the guitars, they got a lot more full with this more kind of softer hard rock sound. The bass guitar keeps its rougher tone and more of this drawn back, but also the note structure is more dynamic. The drums give us more of the same style they had in the verses, just louder with more fills thrown in there. And not gonna lie, this wasn't the craziest thing I've ever heard in when it comes to going through music, but keeping the bass in the back really makes this song have more of this continuity feel to it. So you feel like the heavier bass that you can really hear in the verses and the pre-chorus really flow into the chorus, make this chorus really feel like it is fully part of the song. It does kind of have this, I'm not gonna lie, it reminded me a lot of listening to Chevelle feel, and I like Chevelle, so I was really digging it.
We get that quite a bit.
Yeah, we get it quite a bit. We're big fans of Chevelle.
Yes.
So
I like that.
There's honestly a lot of bands that people compare us to. They're like, oh yeah, we listen to them, like Incubus, Thrice, Deftones, Cave In, Failure. We got Stone Temple Pilots at one time.
Oh yeah.
We got Alice in Chains one time. We got freaking Pearl Jam one time.
Pearl Jam, that was an interesting one.
That was a very interesting one. There was a few. There's some that people just hit us with like left field that it's just like, all right. But I mean, if you hear that, that's fine. I totally don't hear that at all. But I mean, that's cool. Cool.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
Hey man, take it. I'll say take it as it comes, but yeah, especially with the chorus, the way it progresses, the way it feels. I'm like right when I first heard it, I was just thinking, man, I literally could hear Chevelle doing this. Like, if Chevelle were to cover this song, I could easily see people looking and be like, oh yeah, this makes a lot of sense for Chevelle to cover this song, because it really, I'm not going to say it fits in with the exact style that they do, but when it comes to the whole entire vibe and the feel and the way it progresses, it does have a very good feel like Chevelle.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, for sure.
So knowing it is one of your guys' influences, woo! At least I was kind of right on that one. I mean,
oh yeah. We really just spit out like 10 in like 15 seconds.
Yeah, and some of them really from left field, because like the Pearl Jam one, I was thinking, I don't really hear that one, but like, if someone does, cool.
I mean, I guess. I guess. Yeah, I don't hear it at all, but I mean, who knows what people hear? They hear different things. So.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Even after you go through the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus once again, after that second chorus, you go into the bridge, and that chorus style guitar gets a little bit faster with this more dynamic style. The bass drops back even further. The filling drum parts really continue to go forward a little bit more in this song to really fill out the rest of this bridge. I'm like, it creates this great bridge coming out of the second chorus, really give this more full feel to the song as we're going forward through it. So as we're building up from the verse, pre-chorus, chorus, after that second chorus, it's like, okay, where are we going to go from here? You guys get to this bridge, and it really gives this song much more of a full feel as we progress through it.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Oh, and then the immediate aftermath of the bridge has this soft hi-hat style with this higher pitched guitar that is then filled out with drum fills until it becomes more melodic after this speech that you guys have that's also in the song as well, that speech part of the song, with some more sweeping guitars that create more of this melodic solo. And when I got to that melodic solo, I mean, I'm looking at my notes right now because I just don't want to mess this up. Melodic solo I thought was a cool piece to add to this, as it brings us back to that final chorus, well flowing through that spoken word piece to bring us back in that kind of more Chevelle-inspired flow and sound. It's really close to the song once again with that heavier, distorted bass. So this song had this whole entire thing where, especially from the start, I'm like, how are they going to continue to kind of pull this song together? And instrumentally, when you had the rougher bass to connect the verses and the pre-chorus with the chorus, but then that bass drops off so that the chorus can really shine, and then you go to the pre-chorus and it really kind of brings more this full-fledged feel to, or the bridge, I should say, this more full-fledged feel to it. Then you get to the spoken word speech part, and then you get to this more melodic kind of solo feel that really ends up transitioning back into the chorus really well. But then you kind of bring back that rougher bass to really close out the song once again. It really feels like we're going through this full arc of the song, just through the instrumentals to really give more focus to that vision of trying to listen to understand people that may have the same point of view as you or a different point of view as you. It's just like continuity, continuous flow really helps with the realization standpoint of the emotion of the song.
Awesome. Do you know about the speech part? Matt, do you want to tell them about where that speech came from?
So there was this was like around the time where COVID was happening and it happened on the news.
Mm-hmm.
But her name is Jane Elliot. She was speaking on a news piece for a while. They were asking her a question saying, "Why do we hate?" And she basically just broke it down. She said, "We hate because we're taught to hate. We hate because we're ignorant. We're the product of ignorant people who were taught that, there were 4 or 5 different races, when in reality, there's not 4 or 5 different races. There's only one race, and it's the human race as to get together as a whole." And so I heard that, and I thought that really depicted what we were really going for in that song. And, we asked her for her permission. She heard the song. She loved it. And she was very, very excited about it, which, that was awesome for us to get feedback from her.
Yeah, for real.
I think it turned out way, way better than we expected. And I think it really, she really honed it in and pretty much took it home.
We sent her the email, I think, after 9 o'clock that night, and received a response right after 10.
Yeah.
And we were like, "What? Already this late at night?"
we didn't know what to expect as far as a response, but honestly, it was really cool how it happened. And she's really a great person and really educates on that specific, like on just hate in general, and like opening people's eyes to see, like, it's more than just the color of a person's skin. Actually getting to meet them and actually talk to them and actually, sit down and discuss with them and learn more about them. So, but that was honestly like a highlight of the album, to have her on there and be able to do that and get her reaction on it and actually enjoy it. So that was really cool.
I mean, when I took a look at it, just hearing that speech come from Jane Elliot, what I thought when it came to including that in there, it added more to the story of the building up the culmination of the call to change in order to listen to understand, not just listen to try and, like, listen to respond and retaliate to win. Because the speech that she gives us in this song and that you guys use, it gives us the feel that we are not born to hate or to vilify each other, but taught that in order to push some sort of agenda that someone else has created. And it could be someone that has taught you this. It could be the media. It could be literally from anywhere. But honestly, adding it in there, I thought was a smart move, because it literally does the job of making sure that no matter who's listening to it, they already understand the message as the song progresses, so that when they get to that point, even if they're lost, they're going to end up getting to the message at some point there in terms of the base level of the emotion. And then they're able to go back and listen to it again if they weren't necessarily in the right headspace to continue to listen to the song. But after that speech, they can go back and listen to it for a second time like it's the first time, because they have this different idea, this different mentality about what the song actually is, so that they can really understand what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. And I honestly, like, I'm just glad it turned out great, and that just having all that together and finally hearing the final product of it, like, really heartwarming, because the point across it.
Can you say that one more time, Matt? Your phone was starting to cut out for about maybe 5 seconds.
Oh, I was saying it was great how that turned out. She really hit the nail on the head and really just brought the whole song together. And so it was just that extra piece that we needed. Really great.
Oh, it really was, just because it just really gives more of that straightforward meaning to the song. If people had not connected with that earlier on, it really it lets the listener really kind of take their own meaning, but then it really focuses them in once you get about 3/5 of the way through the song. But man, there's two specific parts I really want to talk about with your vocals as well. And that's when we get to the chorus and then that bridge coming out of the second chorus as well. Because when I got to that chorus, I mean, you brought your vocals to have this much more full feeling chorus vocals to similar to like a grander, more Chevelle style chorus, which again, when I listen to the instrumentals and the flow of the song, having that sort of flow to your vocals really made it stand out here because the higher pitched vocals have more of that rock bass behind them to really show that call for change. And the progression that the vocals work in regards to that bass line really do work out to let the chorus have more of this pop from the vocal side of things. It really makes that progression from verse to pre-chorus to chorus really shine in terms of using the vocal tone to really kind of start out a little bit more of the verse, a little bit more downtrodden, a little bit more breathy in a way, but still somewhat have this full feel, then clean up to the pre-chorus and the chorus hitting you with a lot more of a fuller sense. It does really kind of bring this more call to change feel to light, just hearing the impact of your vocals continue to clean up and increase as we go along.
Thank you, man. And I think the cool thing about it was when we went into it, it was just a thing of trying to depict that from the get-go. You know, we have a lot of hard-hitting parts, so we're known for a lot of hard-hitting parts, but we just really wanted to just give a completely different feel for that song, and you know, really just feel what we were feeling through that time when it was written. And I think whenever that transition came, when the words came and everything, we were all like, okay, well, yeah, this is gonna work. And so we just went for it. And you know, when we're anytime when we're recording, if we have some mindset of how something's gonna go, it could change on a whim at that time. And so I think just us being flexible to allowing the song and the mood to take it wherever it wants to go and just going right along with it. I think it really just honed all of that in to really depict what we wanted vocally for the song and what the message that we wanted to get out there.
And I think we strive for dynamics all the way across the board, you know, instruments and voice included. We definitely don't want, we want the mood to be translated just as the day we wrote the song, you know. And if we're stagnant or stale and the point's not getting across, we're not you know, performing to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
Oh, again, totally understandable. And especially I gotta go to the bridge as well with the vocals as well, because again, using that instrumental style to really bring more of this potential like slightly amped up feel to a little more of a sense of urgency to that with the instrumentals. The vocals do the exact same thing. They do that, like they do a little bit more of a faster pace style that again reminds me of like a little more of a faster pace, higher pitch style Chevelle bridge, and it does work out really well to kind of bring more of that call to change action forward. But how the vocals ended in this bridge, right when I heard them, my mindset went to older 30 Seconds to Mars. Think stuff off of the A Beautiful Lie album, specifically The Kill, just because you get this more like alternative, amped up, honestly, like again, The Kill, Jared Leto style vocals from earlier 30 Seconds to Mars days in the way that this bridge is able to end. But what I like about that is because it really adds so much more to this sense of urgency. So people that listen to older 30 Seconds to Mars, people that listen to The Kill, especially when you get to the end of the bridge, you hear things like Jared just scream out, "This is who I really am." You're able to feel that sort of urgency. You're able to feel that sort of, you need to understand this in order to make the change, in order to connect better with people, and to basically become, honestly, maybe a better member of society so that we can connect with others on a much more emotional, much more healthy way. And instead of just trying to always be right, it's just this quick little addition to the vocals that you made, especially in the bridge, really bring out the power that the song is going to end up having. And then you're able to go right into that Jane Elliot speech right after it.
Yeah, man, it was cool how it came out. I'm really glad that I'm hearing all this. It's good to hear a different perspective on it. So it's cool how hearing other people what they think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
a well thought out, you know,
out. Like whenever we hear our stuff, you know, we hear stuff later on, but you know, we just really hear like what we were going for at the time. But to hear that, you know, with the vocals and music combined, kind of showing and visualizing what goal we're trying to reach as far as like what we're trying to say, I think that's what's the cool part about it. Like it's it's just made it really cool to think about.
And I think if all four of us in the band were to take the song and pick it apart like you have and write it down and document it, we'd all have different things. I think all five of us would have some matched, and
yeah, I think if you were to put down and write down, like really going deep with the song, similar like what I did, all of you guys are going to have a different idea behind it specifically. But what the thing is that you're going to see is if you guys did that and then you put all my notes together as well, and we kind of analyze them all together, you're going to see where some of the specifics change. But when it comes down to really like what we got out of the song in terms of the emotion behind it, that's where it's going to be the same. Because like some of the certain references that I make is what I hear in the music is potentially going to be different than Matt, what you do, or Jordan, what you do, or the other guys in the band, what they're going to end up saying, for the specific fact that like the whole, like, again, I'll use the bridge as an example with listening to the vocals and how, again, it ends with that, what I feel is like, some older 36 Mars Jared Leto style vocals to really bring out the sense of urgency in there. The reason I bring that up is because I listened to a lot of older 30 Seconds to Mars back in like 2017, 2018, when I was going through a really rough time. But it's something that I really connect with back to that point. I instinctively remember it. So when I hear something that reminds me of that, I can kind of pull right from that where, I mean, I'll use an example. You might not have ever really taken a look at that and thought of that. You might have thought of, if you listen deep dove into it, you might have taken in a completely different approach and really take a look at it differently analytically, but it's just the way that we think it comes out and the way that we think it impacts could be the same. As just how we relate to it is different due to the fact that we've listened to different music, we've connected with different music, we've gone through different things in life. So the specifics change, but the base remains the same.
Yeah, and that literally translates inside out almost. The analysis is almost the meaning of the song. Instead of nitpicking all these little things, focusing on the main idea and come together somewhere.
I think another way of thinking about it, at least in my mind, is like there's so many little things going on in that song, but they all work together to get the point across. And I think, even transpiring to what's going on right now, there's so many things going on in all different directions to the point that can get overwhelming. But, hearing it all together and seeing it all together and being able to kind of make your own assessment off of it, and, everything is kind of starting to work together. So I think it's really cool how that just depicted, because it's like there's so many individual problems, but there's a big problem as a whole that involves all of these little problems. And so I think that really came out well in the song. Now that we're talking about it, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it came out really, really well. That's how the song was designed. So
yeah, and when we take a look at the little problems that really culminate into the big problem that's being talked about at the base of this song and the core of the song, we're going to all connect with many different little problems that we're going to end up funneling into this. But when we talk about the core meaning of the song, when it comes to just being open to listening to understanding, it's a lot of the little problems that that are caused and could be basically resolved potentially through doing something like this. A lot of those problems are going to be brought up, but those problems are going to be different between myself, between you two guys, between the rest of the members of the band as well, through the fact that, again, we just all gone through different things in life. So our mindsets are wired a little bit differently due to the fact that we're connecting with different things in different ways due to the emotional response we've had over the course of our lifetime.
Yeah. That's the best way you could have put it right there.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much.
And another win for me. But like, even as I go, shoot, I think about it.
Sure.
I don't know. I thought I just lost you guys for a second with your phone was glitching out again.
Ah, damn. We can't tell. Like, we just plugged the charger in and hope to God. I mean,
you looked good.
Yeah. You looked great.
Oh, well, thank you. It's just like there's certain times I can kind of feel like when it happens, like there's certain times during this podcast it has happened, but all of a sudden, like right when it picks back up, it's like the conversation did not miss a beat. So I'm like, okay, I'll let this continue to go. But there have been like 2 or 3 times where it's just kind of cut. I'm just like, ooh, that's going to be interesting. But like when it comes to Better Off, like taking a look at an overall look at the song, I thought that it really had more of this like Chevelle vibe, especially in the second half with this more deeper melodic hard rock sound, and with some older like 30 Seconds Mars mix in there. But the first half of the song does seem a little distant from the second half. However, this is done to show more of that disagreement and lack of compassion to understand from both sides. The consistent bass line does help a lot to make this song sound more connected, and I do like that. Matt's vocals do a great job to tell the story. However, I can see where people can get lost from the meaning given how the vocals really flow well with the instrumentals to create that Chevelle-like sound. But then that speech from Jane Elliot is added in, and it forces us all to be mindful of the meaning going forward in the final chorus. So it all makes sense and is completely worth it in my eyes. Plus, if you're not fully into it until you get to the speech, you can always go back to it and really take a look at the song from a fresh new perspective. So it's like you're listening to it twice, brand new, in the span of like 10 minutes maybe.
Yeah. I think that's what we do with a lot of music. We listen to everything, and I especially like listen to it over and over and over and over again. And you know, if you don't get it the first time, just take a minute to listen to it again. You'll get it. You know, if you don't get it on the first try, even kind of goes with it. If you don't get it on the first try, like just give it another try. Mm-hmm. Like give it another go. Actually kind of dig into it a little bit more. You might find some things that you didn't notice before or thought like you hear it and you really like it. And now that you hear it, you start going back and starting to figure out something new in that song that you hear. And so, yeah, I think it'd be cool to like for everybody to like just take a moment and just listen to it and see if you hear anything a little bit different and kind of take your own interpretation on it.
Just encourage people to dissect like you have, you know. A lot of people listen to a song and within 4 to 6 seconds they know whether they're gonna like it or not. Mm-hmm. And then if they make it all the way through, if they like it, they'll listen to it again. If they don't, they won't.
Yeah.
Just dive into new music, and I encourage everyone to dissect it. You know.
I would say potentially
see and feel the emotions that were initially created there.
I would say instead of like just like diving deep and analyzing it, especially because I know people aren't going to do it the same way that I do. What I would say is, don't go the Spotify route, and if you don't like in those first 4 to 6 seconds, no, do not do that. What I want you to do is, whatever song you listen to going forward, if someone recommends a new song for you, if you're going to listen to any song off that we talk about on the podcast, what I want you to do is take some investment into it. And what I mean by that is set aside the time, invest that time into it. Like, how we used to do back, before streaming was a big thing. Hell, even when we were buying songs via iTunes, MP3s, buying vinyls, buying CDs, buying cassettes, whatever it might have been. Because we were putting a monetary investment into that. So we were going to listen to it no matter what, because we wanted to see what we, like, basically what we invested in, what we bought. But with streaming, it's not that way because you can kind of skip around so much, so freely. But take more of an emotional investment in the songs and really listen, like, honestly, put them on it, like create a playlist of the songs that people tell you to listen to or people recommend to you. Make a playlist of them on Spotify and then go for like an hour-long car ride and just hit it and just go. Don't touch your phone. Mm-hmm. Don't change the song. Don't do anything like that. Just let the song flow, because when you're driving, man, you just get like so much more connected with it because it's you, the open road, and your thoughts, and that's it. And you're listening to the song, and you really get more of a deeper emotional connection.
And your foot, so yeah, be careful with your foot.
Don't get pulled over.
Yeah,
those Texas state troopers don't play.
They don't.
Yeah, I've had that problem where all of a sudden it's like I'm just jamming, having a great time, and all of a sudden I realize I'm going 110 in a 70. I'm just like,
I've been there too. Definitely been there too.
When you're feeling it, you're feeling it.
Literally feeling it.
Or I think the worst I've ever done, it was 110 in a 55. I mean, I didn't even realize I was going 110. I just thought everyone was going slow.
Oh, nice, exactly double.
And I looked at him, just like, oh shit! Glad there was
Move
no
your arse.
Move your arse.
The other problem too was it was on 4th of July, and I smelt like beer, but I was only 20 years old. So, to be fair though, I was working and I was stocking grocery store shelves with in their liquor departments with beer, and I smelled like beer because some cases broke and I had beer all over me. So someone would have definitely questioned me.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Someone would have definitely questioned me and been like, I can explain.
See, what had happened was
There's literally surveillance footage like from an hour ago. I can show you.
Yeah, and all of a sudden we go back to that, like we go back to like that Walmart, go back to like that Pick and Save or something like that. All of a sudden it's just like you just see me pulling like a pallet or something. All of a sudden, like this case falls off the top because some little kid runs into the pallet, and this whole entire like 18-pack bottles of Heineken just falls on the floor and just sprays all over the place. I'm just like, really?
Yeah, I've had that happen to me. Actually, not too long ago. I had that happen to me at a gas station. I was getting beer and
Where were we
the
going?
handle. No, it was at the gas station, like right around the street.
Where were we going though?
I can't remember. But literally, we were going to a show. I think.
Yes, we were because we were getting.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta be. There we go. So for everyone that heard that cut off in the middle of the conversation, there's a little bit of a thunderstorm here in Milwaukee when we're shooting this. This is the first time ever this happened on the podcast. My power went completely out whatsoever. Like, not just the internet, like everything went out. So, yeah. So I missed this great story about. Yeah, I had to quickly like jump on my phone, like turn off like Wi-Fi. I'm like, okay, I need to tell these guys what's going on because, yeah.
We thought it was us, honestly. We were like, oh shit.
We were trying to figure it out. I was like, oh, we
well-
can't leave this open ended. We gotta finish.
We got to finish. 'Cause I got to hear what the hell happened with Matt when it comes to potentially getting beer splattered all over him at a gas station. I need to hear the end of this, man.
Yeah, dude. So where was I at? Oh, okay. Yeah, we were walking in. It was like a 12 case of bottles. And I had the handle and I had something else in my other hand and I'm sitting there walking. I'm halfway to the register. Next thing you know, everything just, the bottom falls out. Beer bottles, there's like 3 that broke. There was like 10 on all of them on the floor. Like they were just like, just put it in a trash can. And so we ended up putting the whole thing in a trash can and I felt so bad after that. I still feel bad about that. They haven't seemed to like hate us yet because
That's like our
store. So.
We go.
They haven't seemed to hate us yet, so at least that's good.
Don't worry, guys. I've had worse than that. I think the worst one I've ever seen was I was working at a Myers up here. It was like they just opened up these first like Myers stores here up in Wisconsin, like the first one they ever did. They're open for maybe 3-4 weeks at this point, and me and this one other guy, we were there unloading a delivery. And he was taking this cart that they had because we couldn't take the pallets on the floor, so we had to take everything out in carts. And he stocked his whole entire cart up with Mike's Hard Lemonade. Mm-hmm. And all the different varieties and flavors as well because we needed to restock everything on Mike's. So he's pulling this cart out and this forklift operator almost runs into him. So he quickly swerves out of the way. His cart hits this guardrail and the whole cart falls over and about maybe 12 to 13 cases of Mike's Hard Lemonade glass bottles just spill everywhere.
Shit, dude. Oh no.
Oh, it was bad. And I'm just like, okay, like this kid, because I'm like, this kid, the store manager already really doesn't like him.
Oh.
And the store manager doesn't like me, but he does not like this person more than he doesn't like me. So I'm like, you know what? I told my guy, I'm like, here's what we're going to do. You are going to go reload your cart. I'm going to get a mop and I'm going to start cleaning this up. And, if the guy comes and like yells at me and be like, well, I'm cleaning it up. What more do you want me to do? And luckily the receiver in the back saw everything that had happened. And the receiver and I became good friends over all the shit that this store manager had us both do and did not like both. So we were always cool with each other. He saw it happen. He's like, you know what? He's like, you know what, dude, you clean it up. You're fine. If store manager comes back here yelling, I'll take care of him. No more than 10 seconds later, the doors open in the back and here comes the store manager. And I'm just like, oh, I'm ready for this one. And he starts screaming at me. And all of a sudden the receiver's like, well, someone in a fork truck did just like completely cut him off and force him into that. And he's like, plus it wasn't even him that broke it. It was somebody else. And this store manager just got irate. He's like, I'm going to call your boss. I'm like, oh, I literally said, oh, what? You're going to call my boss to tell me that I'm cleaning up a mess? Go for it. Just go for it. Yeah.
Be my guest.
The funny part about it was I worked there the rest of the like I had to go to that store consistently for the rest of the summer. And the reason was because like I got along well with the receiver, so everything that we had to do, like I was always like getting everything taken care of. But if there was one minor inconvenience, the store manager always came and blamed me when it was, oh, we're using one of our carts, but we don't have any carts that we can use. I'm like, you guys are basically stashing like one item on like each of these 10 carts back here, and I'm not allowed to use them. Then can I pull pallets? No, you're not allowed to pull pallets. Well, what do you want me to do then?
Then tell me what to do. Otherwise, I don't know.
I don't have any cool like bottle breaking stories, but like one time I was told, which I'm not forklift certified. I still drive a fork truck almost every day, but I've never been certified. At the time I was working at Brookshire's, and I was told to take a pallet of cases of water to the front because they were going to stack them outside in the shade. Well, I'm just, going about my own business, thinking I'm doing right, whatever. Got the pallet, started heading outside, went through the doors, got them up to the very front, and I get off fork truck, and there is a line of water where I came from, just all over the ground. I'm like, what happened? What did I do? I missed the pallet completely and stabbed the whole wrapped pallet, stabbed the bottom, all bottom cases of water. So like,
oh, no.
those cases that were in that row, and then every 3 bottles in those rows were popped. And I spilled water all over the floor before I got it out of the bay and all of that. Yeah, I was mopping the rest of the day.
Ooh.
Hey man, it could be worse. It was just water. If it was like, I mean, could you imagine if it was like some like sticky shit, like some like Mountain Dew or some like Pepsi or Coke? It'd have been just even worse.
And my boss was chill about it too. He was like, grab some soap and a mop, you're fine. I was like, cool.
Yeah, because
I didn't have any like. I used to work at Brookshire's too. I just didn't have any like broken stories.
Honestly, by them, like
I did get my hair snipped after that though for a drug test.
Oh, okay.
This is before.
Yeah, before I was involved with anything. Like I wasn't even 21 when that happened. I wasn't drinking heavily or nothing. I'm not drinking heavily now, but
it's like just keeping it clean,
Yeah, they were like,
keep it clean.
Now, so the worst end of the deal I got there was just a bad haircut for a little while because I had to snip my hair for drug testing.
Dang, I never even had to go through that because I was always the one that had to clean up the shit. I only broke a couple of different things at times. I never had one of those like major ones. I did have to clean up a bunch of olive oil that I didn't spill, but the store manager blamed me for it, even though it was 2 like bays of backstock like away from where I was. It's like, why aren't you cleaning something? I'm like, dude, I don't know who the hell did that. Well, why aren't you cleaning it up? It's not I didn't cause it. It's not my problem. Well, why aren't you cleaning it up? I'm like, dude, I'm a merchandiser that comes in here and has a specific job with a very specific like realm that I have to be in. That was either caused by someone who was a merchant that put that out or one of your workers, not by me. Well, you still have to clean it up.
Get over it.
Motherfucker. But pretty one last question, and it relates more back to your music. Well, relates back to live music. So, the rest of 2021, where are you guys going to be? What's touring looking like, if you guys are allowed to say?
Well, we got one that we are not allowed to say right now. That has to be a surprise, and I'm super stoked for it. But we're coming to Florida, August 14th. August 13th, I believe, will be in Savannah, Georgia. Mm-hmm. So we'll be around that way for any Georgians, if you want to come
Georgians.
out. Georgians. You want to come out and hang out. More shows. We got quite a few more shows, actually. We got some in Louisiana and Alexandria.
Right.
That's actually this weekend. Yep. We got some in Dallas. We got some in Houston. Man, there's too many to count right now. I actually have to go back and see what all we have because I don't even know exactly what we have right now. We have a lot of stuff, but yeah. We post on our social medias, all of our sites. We let everybody know what's going on and the dates we have coming up. We're playing a lot for the rest of the year. So plan on playing a lot for the rest of the year.
Well, that's a good thing. And guys, I would like to end this podcast with three very specific things. First one is this. You guys that are listening to the podcast, you just heard with Post Profit, you just heard a whole entire podcast in terms of going through Better Off. We heard a whole entire podcast in terms of, the crazy stories that we were telling, especially involving, spilt beer and spilt water. Yeah. Looking at you for that one, George. And the kicking of rib cages, and also more mosh pit injuries. And also the first ever power outage during a podcast I've ever had to endure. But you're going to want to hang out with Post Profits. You're going to want to see them at a live show. You're going to want to be able to connect with them online. And there's going to be plenty of places where you can connect them online on social media, when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to buying some merch, when it comes to streaming their music, where to download it, where to purchase it, all that kind of stuff. But instead of actually having to look up and search for it, wouldn't it be just easier if I decided to go into the description of the podcast, put Find Post Profit online, and literally just had a bank of links and labels for you guys so you can do a one-click, one-stop shop to like their stuff, follow their stuff, share their stuff, listen to everything, buy some merch, support them as much as possible, and know when they're going to be in your area for a live show? Wouldn't that just be easier if I did that? Because that's exactly what the fuck I'm going to do. So look description of the podcast, and all their links are going to be there for all their social where you can find them. Everything's going to be there. Now, guys, whenever I have a guest in the podcast that I enjoy, I always like to make a certain promise, and this happened 100% of the time. You guys have not broken this promise, but I'm going to edit it a little bit due to the power outage that has happened, because that is I'm going to say that's on me, even though it's just a freak of nature kind of thing. So the promise is when, not an if, not an if, a when I get to see you guys perform live for the first time. Normally, the promise is first round's on me. But because of the beer stories and because of the power outage, I'm going to edit that to first 2 rounds on me.
Okay.
Okay, hell yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
So if that's any sort of...
Just kidding. I'll take a Coke. I have a Coke.
I might just... You know what? I might just get Jordan 2 cases of water and just call it a day at that.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That works.
So, Matt, Jordan, on that note, in all good conscience, I can't end this podcast with goodbye for a couple of reasons. One, even with some of the technical difficulties that we had in this podcast was hilarious as all hell, and I want to have you guys back on the podcast at some point in the future to talk about more music. 2, I made the promise to you guys, play live first time, and yes, first 2 rounds are on me, and I will probably most likely just give Jordan 2 cases of water because I think that's even funnier. So I can't end this with goodbye. That is way too freaking final. So I have to end it with this. See you later.
See you later,
man.
Well, folks, I'm an interview with the guys from the band Post Profit Out of Texas. Remember, Matt and Jordan were the guys on the podcast. I want to thank them for being on the podcast, and thank you for being patient with me with the whole entire my power going out mid-podcast. Well, it was actually like in the final fourth of the podcast. So, I mean, you still have the meat and potatoes there, but I want to thank you guys for hanging on there as well. Can't wait to have the guys from Post Profit back on the podcast once again, hopefully in 2022. Can't wait to see him perform live, and I do have to make good on that first round on me, but except for Jordan, I'm giving him 2 cases of water after his water incident that he told us about. When it comes to Post Profit, when it comes to finding them online, once again, take a look at the description of the podcast. You're going to find all the links to all their socials, where you can stream their music, where you can buy some merch. Everything is going to be there for you guys, so you have no excuse not to follow this band and get into them. So please check that out. Please follow all our stuff as well with MSOT Rocks. Please subscribe to the Chord Progression Podcast at the MSOT Rocks YouTube page, or subscribe to the audio version, Spotify Podcast, iHeart Radio. There might be changes coming to that, but the Chord Progression Podcast will be remaining the same because this is honestly my favorite thing to do for the whole entire part of it. I want to also thank MVK Music Group for this one as well. I'll have links for MVK Music Group in the description as well. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Attila, once again. You guys have been nothing but awesome in terms of getting me these bands on the podcast. I love the relationship we've created for the Chord Progression Podcast and MVK Music Group, and I can't see where we continue to go with it. And, of course, when 2022 rolls around, honestly, all these bands, we can just cycle back through them because I'd like to make this a yearly thing with you guys. Every single band, at least on once a year. And also, I want to thank Phoenix Fitness for sponsoring this video as well. Again, 50% off your entire order. Link description below. Code is MSOTD, so make sure you go do that. On that note, that's going to be for me, guys. Thank you for watching the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by City Rocks, Rock and Metal Thrive. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every every single one of these episodes of Big, Healthy, and Hardy, we're gonna do unclean vocals this time. See you.